What's going on to all my YouTubers out there? This is your boy Lee Majors once again. I just wanted to sit here and say that it is approximately like 8:21 right now, and I just wanted to get on here and start to explain some of the things that I was going over in my mind. I got about maybe 37 minutes, but I'm gonna use 15 of those minutes as I'm gonna dive deep into it. Okay, so everybody is everybody is wanting to know how to get through this inflation. Okay, all right. Systematically, the way that things are going, stuff is getting high. Okay, so the best thing right now is to minimize, the input of your investment. Make sure that majority of your financial flow that comes in is frontlining the wall for your operational costs so you can still operate. Make sure that you know where every dollar is going. And what's going to help you through this inflation is your inventory, okay? You have to do inventory. Now, today, I didn't know how I was going to come up on here and speak of this, but it was things that, trying to explain the whole system of things. I usually draw it on paper, you know what I'm saying? When you mapping out plans, special forces style, you know what I'm saying? When you have strategy and execution tactics or whatever like that, you always draw them out on plans, kind of like sports and football plans, or like the coach that actually drew up a plan on a chalkboard. That's how you're supposed to do for your money, okay? What I will say is that don't be too scared or nervous about the inflation. Pay attention to your inventory. All right? Look at bargaining prices. Make sure that you check price or price check very clearly. I don't know how many of you shop at Safeway, but I will say that Safeway has, if you ever go to Safeway and you look on these shelves, right? Safeway has Safeway brands, Signature. It's a logo on there called Signature. All right, and I think that's a Safeway brand. So Safeway has a Payless Signature. All right, and they got food products in there, that cost less. Okay, so I ended up going in there one day, purchasing $800 worth of groceries, and I only paid $200 for it. For one, I got the rewards cards, so you get the coupons and the points and stuff off as far as the food costs or whatever, right? My food cost is tremendously down. You know what I'm saying? If you keep the food costs down, then that's other money that you can put in other different categories of your household. Okay? So anyway, the little part about Safeway is that I took $200 and bought $800 worth of food because it was certain specific products that I was targeting in there that was through the Signature company. It's a square black label. It says Signature. You'll see it on there. All right. You actually can save money by buying those products. You line the products up with the products that you need at your house. I say again, you line the products up with the products that you need at your house. All right. The best thing to do is to look at inventory right now. So you got gas costs, you have food costs. Make sure that you stock up on food. Make sure that you have an account where as though that you also stock up on the amounts of money that you need as far as gas. I tell people all the time, as far as managing the household finances, where you have to look at the exact approximate amount that you need to have X amount of miles that you need to drive to work. People need to sit down and they need to do the general math on how many miles that you need to go to work all month and how many miles from your home to work that you drive every month. If you tally that up to how many miles you need to the price of the amount of the approximate amount that you need to spend in gas, then you put that amount inside of an account that's dedicated to gas only, and there you have it. You'll never run out of gas because you know how much you need. Your income has to be fragmented as soon as it comes into the house within 10 different categories. I repeat, 10 different categories that you have to have for 10 different problems in order to run the house. You have to run your house like a Fortune 500 company. You know what I'm saying? Any type of, the biggest bill technically that you have inside your crib is the rent, technically. And then you have the utilities or whatever. You know what I'm saying? A roof over your head, you know, is you're gonna need that. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna need that. And then everything fall in line after that. Now, what I'm saying is that, all right, if you good at doing inventory. Yesterday I did inventory, I counted everything at the house. Our food bill was like no more than $100. I got 3 refrigerators in here. So I got food for the next 4 months. You understand what I'm saying? Especially dry foods. Now, if you ain't got big ass refrigerators, then make sure that you optimize within purchasing dry foods, okay? This channel is dedicated, and this is a side note, on how to manage the money that you have, all right? As far as managing the house first. Before we even get into the investment shit, we got to start at the house first. Because you can't get no more money or get no more profit if you cannot really, maintain where the fuck you at. You understand what I'm saying? Excuse me for cussing, but if you can't manage your house, pretty much you ain't gonna be able to manage a business. You know what I'm saying? If you can't get through managing your house first. So anyway, here it is. With that being said, all right, you have these different accounts that's set up for these different situations. So you have an account for your gas, which at all times, you have a gas account and you keep $500 in there at all times. To build these accounts up, you can start with what we call a slow growth plan, where you put $25 a month up, into an account, and until it gets up to 500, and then from that, and this is with your own income. You don't have to use the bank's money, all right? You can create your own bank. And what I mean by this is that you create these shelters where you need to put your cash. And that's good for right now because, as you all know, they're trying to get rid of the cash and turn into digital dollars. But before all of this happens, you need to set your accounts up and start building these accounts with these different responsibilities. So you have your gas account, which adds to your travel expense, all right? We have operational costs because we have to operate throughout the week. So your operational costs throughout the week, you need to break that down on a daily basis, okay? Now, if you're spending $20 or $30 a day or whatever, you have to look at that as an operational cost daily. And then from doing the math of the operational cost daily, excuse me if I'm seeming like I'm all over the place, but I got all this in my head. The operational cost, daily operational costs, you may spend maybe $30 to $20 or $10 a day. I try to keep it at a minimum of $10 or maybe $11 a day. You will spend something every day if it comes down to it. There's no way that you're gonna go throughout the day without having to buy something, you know what I'm saying? Not unless you're at work all day and you bring your lunch to and from home. But some of the time, certain things get bored, so the most that you probably will spend is maybe $10 to $20 a day, all right? Which may equal out to maybe within a 20-day period or 30-day period, maybe $300 a month if you have it like that, okay? Now, you can keep it at the minimum like that. There's nothing wrong with that. So your operational costs at an annual rate, which is yearly, all right, maybe at maybe $4,000 to $6,000 as far as operating. Total operational costs within the entirety between the gas and everything else should be about at least, I wouldn't even say 50, but 40% of what you bring in yearly to operate. All right. Now, that part, your operational costs could be strong because you're spending money to get shit done. That's the operational cost. You're spending money to get shit done, and you're using your money to actually make the production of what you need done happen faster, if that makes any sense, okay? When you come up with these different accounts, you are giving responsibility to each and every bit of dollar down to from the dollar to the nickel of your money. So imagine this. You're the company, all right, and you break your money down, into slices, okay? Ain't no difference than you working you working a package. I can break it down in the hustler's terms, like you break down a package in the street. So just imagine if you have a big ass brick of something, if y'all know what I mean, and you break it down all the way down to nickels, okay? If you break it all the way down to nickels, your comeback is going to be kind of triple and quadruple. You'll have enough to spread around if you break your money down like that, and no dollar will be wasted. Usually what happens is that people end up having these leaks where they don't keep no receipts, where they just swipe and go. That ain't good. All right? They're not tracking their money. The banks will do it for you by you looking at your transaction, but they can only cover so much. But you do have those miscellaneous times where you take your cash and you go and you buy shit, or you impulse buy and you don't keep the receipts or nothing, right? And you may just discard it, not knowing that you done that shit like 10 times that week. So we have to pay attention to that. Okay. When you break down these accounts, you pay yourself 3% yourself on what you make. So you give yourself maybe no more than a $500 payment for yourself a month. You pay yourself. The rest of your money goes into your stocks, your IRA, your expenditure account. If you got an Acorn, a crypto account, if you got a savings account, if you got insurance policies, if you got whatever other joint account with your significant other or anything like that, you split those percentages up into those accounts. Overall, the average person should have at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 accounts for 11 different responsibilities. All right. And you could actually see your money working. Slow growthing over time. And I'm going to take it back to the gas part. When you slow growth the gas build up card over time, right? That means that you put money into an account, which it could be a green dot spending card. You can go to Dollar Tree and get a green dot card. The max that you can actually put on there is $5,000. That card is dedicated to the gas. Now you could pay into that card or whatever until the card get to $5,000, which it probably would take a year at about maybe $200 to maybe $350 a month, all the way for 12 months. And then the next year over, you just use the card. So you got money for gas. And you use that designated card for that only. All right, now, I'm going to get to the savings. A lot of people worry about and talk about savings. I've come to the conclusion that don't save too much. And here's why. I'm going to tell you why. Realistically, throughout this time, you need all your financial purchasing power up front. So you have to slow growth your savings. Keep your savings at a hardcore reality level. And what I mean is that, okay, so if you make $40,000, right, just have $5,000 in savings. All right. So every year you save $5,000, but $5,000 will go into the savings. You stop it right there. That's just to cover you for the year. That's what that is. It is something that where like if something was to happen, or if you was to lose your job, that $5,000 to keep you going until you find another one. You understand what I'm saying? So I just used the example of $5,000. All right, if you make like 40, you understand what I'm saying? Now, if you working or if you choose to build the savings up, you could build it up to 30, or you could it take you maybe 3.5 years at $10,000 a year to build it up to 30. But just for a small example, keep $5,000 in the savings account. That's it. Your operational account, the account that you go into, your checkers account or whatever like that, you keep about maybe 5 in there. And that's where all your bills and all that shit gonna resonate. So maybe 40% of your cost of everything that you make, 40% of everything that you make should be in your checkings. All right. The joint account, you always want to keep at least maybe 2 to 3% or maybe 5% into your joint account if you and your significant other got that in there and y'all putting 3% apiece in there. All right. So your joint account, y'all joint account backs up y'all actual accounts if anything was to happen, far as if your income gets stagnated. So if anybody was to lose their job or whatever, right? God forbid, if anybody was to lose their job, you could still remain to pay your bills. This is how you function and bank with yourself. So just bear with me. I know I'm all over the place, but just bear with me and pay attention to the different points of what I'm trying to make. When I do plans for cash or whatever like that, right, you have these different joints right here, all right, that I just read off not too long earlier. In the meantime, over time, these accounts starts to build up for these responsibilities. So it's just like a beaver building a dam. You know what I'm saying? A beaver will build a dam and he would interlock the rivers or whatever, and then vegetation starts to grow. This is how you actually get your money to protect yourself. The thing is to cycle out as much cash as possible and then put it in a category. Money was made to be spent, okay? We know that it got to be spent. We know that it can't sit down for long. Eventually, save money is money to be spent. You understand what I'm saying? So when you have a savings account, all right, that's just one account. All right, you don't have to dip into your income, you know what I'm saying, to compromise to deal with a situation. A savings account always could be built back up. I want y'all to always remember that. A savings account could always be built back up, and that's what it is. A savings account is just an account for just in case if something go wrong and you get compromised or get hurt. You know what I'm saying? The government does the same thing for you. You could do this shit yourself with your own income by you looking at your own money and managing your own affairs. You set money aside to continue to pay your bills. All right? So $5,000 to a person that's in that range is good. You know what I'm saying? You can still buy food. You can still pay rent. What you're doing is that you're buying time with the savings account, what you may call it an emergency account, emergency savings, or whatever. There's many different ones that you build up with that to buy yourself some time, so that way that you could actually fix this problem that you may have if you transition in between jobs. All right. Luckily, you know, I would say that the more that you grow into your finance and the more that your finance get bigger, then your savings can actually get bigger. All right. Your savings is what help you protect your asset. Your asset is being able to pay your rent. That's an asset within itself, because if anything was to happen, you can still pay the rent up for at least 2 to 3 months, and you can still have a roof over your head, and you can still think of something was going on. If you got to buy food, you'll still have that there because you prepared for that beforehand. All right, so that's what that is for. The next thing, if it's overwhelming, when you first start off, and this is how you branch out, and I figured it out because I have my own grid. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to put on here and show y'all what I have or whatever. I'm not going to do that. But I will tell you this. You don't believe me? You can try this shit. So with this, right? If you investing into anything, okay, you start off, you bubble slow. All right? It was something that we used to do out on the street called double ups. So, you know, you spend $80 to make, you know, another $80, which gave you $160, and then you spent $100, you know what I'm saying, to buy another double up, and then you made, you know, $360, and then from there on and there on and there on, and it's what you call flipping. All right. When you do the stock market game, I keep telling y'all, when you do the stock market game, man, you play for a long term. All right. The market is going to do what it's going to do. It's going to crash. It's going to do all of that. Many people got many different theories up on here, you know what I'm saying, because they always trying to outpace or outbeat somebody. But these guys designed this shit to work a certain way. Okay, all markets need money to actually function. So, you have to put it away and forget about it. You understand what I'm saying? And I'm not saying forget about it, but know that's money that you're not going to touch for a long ass period of time. It's money that you're not going to touch for a long ass period of time. If you do the foresight calculation as far as dealing with the stock market and you dealing with the IRA or whatever that you have, cryptocurrency, when you do the figures on how much interest, well, first the amount of cash that you're gonna put into the market, because you ain't got to put a whole lot into the market in order to benefit off of it. It could be a one-stop shop thing. You could put $28,847 up in there and leave it in there for about 40 years. Within 40 years, there go your retirement. The market is guaranteed to make at least 10.2% every year if you look at the track market of it, right? So a lot of this stuff is just doing research and everything, with that. Okay. Now, I've never heard of a person, who constantly invests their money. I never heard of them actually being broke. Most of the time people lose money is because they act too goddamn fast. When you have a spread out portfolio, all right, and you diversify it to the point to where as though that no matter what, if one side go down, the other side goes up. It's what we call in Chinese medicine or Confucius or, Lao Tzu or Sun Tzu, keeping the balance, yin and yang. You understand what I'm saying? You always want to keep the balance or whatever, right? Okay, cool. You invest into the market all the way until retirement age, the market is going to pay you out. That's guaranteed. Why you think a lot of them older rich guys, that has that, they tell you, okay, well, if you listen to Jack Bogle or whatever, he created the Vanguard account, the index fund. He tell you never to get out of the market. He's telling you that for a reason. People got to peep game and listen to people, because there's certain key things that people say up in there, right? And these are the people that actually created the system of things. One who invests into the infrastructure could never ever go wrong. You understand what I'm saying? If you always invest in your money or whatever, the more you put out, the more you have come back to you. One of the things is that by the time you retire, if the market go up or down, whatever, in 30 years, if you was to sell all that out, you pay your taxes or whatever, right? You create your own paycheck. It's just as simple as that. It ain't no complex thing with this, all right? And Mr. Buffett even said that you ain't got to be a rocket scientist to know how to do this. Now, if we out on the street selling drugs and you look at that, right? Now, let's just take selling drugs, the amount of risk, far as the amount of time, far as if you get caught versus when you get caught, how much it's going to cost you, how much that you can lose, Notice how your average drug dealer had to put out a certain amount of money in order for him to stay working. And then notice how much he had to buy and purchase in order for him to make a profit. And then look at how much he was producing between year 1 to year 10. Let's do the math. For all the risk and everything that it took, right? You are more likely to succeed in the stock market than hustling on the streets. And guaranteed a bigger profit. We didn't always know this coming up. So you have to ask yourself, what are you doing? You have to invest into the infrastructure. Stocks are something that's long term. Now, if you day trade and do all of that, that's cool. That's the cats out there that want to hurry up and flip their money. But for the long haul, if you want to make $2-3 million, you invest and have reoccurring investments at a slow passive level. Spread that out. throughout your whole portfolio, through economics, hospitality, infrastructure, real estate, diversification, index fund for about 30, 40 years. There go your $1,000,000 and something. I already did the pre-math on that. At about $10,000 a year for the next 10 years. That's $180, almost $180,000 for like within 25 to 30 years. Probably close to $250,000. And the older you get, things get cheaper. So, I mean, your cost of living is not going to cost you that much. When we talk about the basic 101 needs, as far as food, shelter, and clothing, you're not, at the age of 60 and shit, you're not out fucking around, excuse me for cussing again, but you're not out messing around. You just ain't. You enjoying the rest of your life. You retired, you chilling, not unless you choose to do something for some hobbies or not unless you choose to go back to work. But you do have enough money that's there. Why? Because you have a financial structure in place that's taking care of you that you actually designed yourself. You understand what I'm saying? So here's what I'm saying. You have to know where every dollar is going. And some people may call that cheap. Whatever. But you cannot afford to have ghost costs. And ghost costs is costs that you don't see. Every dollar has to be accounted for. If it's not accounted for, then there's a problem. So I go back to when you build these accounts. When you build these accounts, you build up an infrastructure of vegetation, like beavers building a dam and locking the water in the circle. Everything is stimulated. See, it's only but so many bills that you could actually owe. So what happened when all the bills get paid? Nobody never talks about this. So what happened when you pay all your bills? Okay, you still have your income coming in, right? Right. So now all the extra money that's coming in, you have to find shelters for it and you have to put it to work. You understand what I'm saying? Even if you had to pay the rent up. If you got an extra $30,000, $40,000, right, from this, put it in the infrastructure. Put it to work so you can make more of it. Then what ends up happening is that now you really don't have no more problems anymore because your portfolio is working for you right now because you don't put enough capital into the system, whereas though you're not messing with the totality of it, but the totality of the capital that you put into the system, you're getting a residual income off of it. Excuse me. You're getting a residual income off of it. So I'm just saying this is not a get rich type of thing. I'm just telling you, on the art of managing money to make your life a lot better and a lot easier, and you don't have to work a lot harder. If you choose to still work, I believe that all people work until you can't work no more because working, that keeps people alive. I had my aunt worked all the way up until 73 years old. You know what I'm saying? But like I said, there is a better way about money management. And this channel is about how to manage your money. And these are little things like that, right? For every dollar for myself that I make or that I spend, I make 500. How? Because I know how much that I'm going to put in these certain companies, dividend paying stocks that I'm going to buy each month because I have the investments on autopilot. Now, when you constantly invest, you invest at least 30% of everything that you make, which come to an annual cost. For my $40,000 and $50,000 a year people, you invest $10,000 a year. That's in the safe zone. All right. Now, when you break that down in a micro level, that's about $500 to $600 a month. It ain't no difference than you actually paying a car payment, which would end up working for you in the end. You understand what I'm saying? So this is what I'm talking about. Now, when you first start off, you can start off at $25 a month to build all these accounts up. Because I know people be like, well, I don't, how can I actually start off I'm not really making that much and everything like that. Nah, you can start small. You can bubble slow. You start off a few dollars at a time until you build yourself up. And once when you build yourself up, then you could go on ahead and so forth and so on. And then it starts to snowball and it starts to grow over time. And through that journey over time, you start to learn different, you know what I'm saying? You start to learn different ways of doing stuff. Okay, so with that being said, I'll do another video for next time talking about the 10 different accounts. This video is on building 10 different accounts as far as managing the household. Okay, this is Lee Majors, Chief of Commander at UFS. Yo, peace and love. And like I said, man, don't fear none. You know what I'm saying? Make sure that you do all the inventory in the house. Make sure that you count, you know what I'm saying? Make sure that every dollar amount counts. Make sure what you need in travel fees and everything like that. As long as you are capable of taking care of your 101 bills, I mean your 101 bills, because everything else is extra. Once when you get good with your 101 bills, then you can move to the next level. It's levels to this. Peace and love, y'all.